Beats corn, the crop that refuses to die. If you've been following SoilPower for a while, you know I love diving into the hidden secrets of soil and the forgotten wisdom of traditional farming. But today, I want to talk about a crop that has quietly been waiting in the shadows, one that once fed ancient civilizations, enriches the soil instead of draining it, and could genuinely help save our future. No, it's not another trendy superfood, it's millet, the humble, drought-tolerant grain that outsmarts even corn when it comes to resilience, nutrition, and soil health. You might be surprised. Corn has dominated global agriculture for decades, yet as we face erratic weather, degrading soils, and rising fertilizer costs, the cracks in the corn empire are starting to show. Meanwhile, millet, a crop that requires almost no chemical input and thrives where corn fails. Somebody stepping back into the spotlight. So, let's dig deep into why millet might just be the super crop we've been sleeping on. Let's be real. Corn is everywhere. From animal feed to processed snacks, it's the golden child of modern farming, but corn is also a hungry plant. It devours nitrogen, depends heavily on synthetic fertilizers, and struggles under drought stress. That's where millet shines. Millet, particularly varieties like pearl millet and finger millet, can thrive in conditions that would send corn plants into panic mode. It doesn't mind poor soil, thrives with minimal water, and needs almost no synthetic fertilizer. In fact, in many traditional farming systems, millet was the backbone of food security long before corn was introduced. When the rains fail, millet doesn't. When fertilizer prices rise, millet keeps growing. It's a plant that works with nature, not against it. From a SoilPower perspective, that's massive. Millet roots dig deep, breaking up compacted earth and improving soil structure. It acts like a natural soil conditioner, helping to store moisture and prevent erosion. It's almost as if millet has evolved to restore balance where modern farming has gone off track. Millet doesn't just win in the garden, it wins on the plate too. It's one of the most nutrient-dense grains you can grow. High in protein, rich in fiber, and naturally gluten-free, millet packs a punch of magnesium, iron, phosphorus, and antioxidants. Compared to corn, millet offers more complete nutrition and slower digesting carbohydrates, which means it keeps you fuller longer and supports steady energy. For homesteaders or gardeners growing food for their families, that's gold. Here's a fun fact. NASA once studied millet as a potential food crop for space missions because of its resilience and nutritional value. If it's good enough for astronauts, it's good enough for our gardens. Here's where things get exciting for soil lovers. Millet is not just about feeding people, it's about feeding the earth. When grown in rotation or as a cover crop, millet rejuvenates tired soil. Its fibrous roots create channels that invite beneficial microorganisms, earthworms, and fungi to thrive. Over time, those roots decompose into organic matter, improving soil fertility naturally. In degraded or sandy soils where nothing else seems to grow, millet can be the pioneer crop that starts the healing process. It acts as a green builder, helping the soil recover structure, moisture, and nutrients without depending on heavy amendments or chemicals. Farmers in parts of Africa and India have long known this secret. They've used millet in rotation to bring life back to exhausted lands, and they've been doing it for centuries before regenerative agriculture became a buzzword. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, that's great, but can I actually grow millet in my backyard garden? The answer is an enthusiastic yes. Millet is surprisingly easy to grow, even for beginners. Here's what you need to know. Start by choosing a variety that fits your region. Pearl millet does great in warm, dry climates, while finger millet handles cooler and higher altitude conditions better. You can often find seed from heritage or permaculture suppliers online. Sow millet directly into the soil once the risk of frost has passed, in well-drained beds. It doesn't need rich soil. In fact, it prefers it a bit lean. water lightly but consistently until it's established, then let it do its thing. Millet grows fast, maturing in about 70 to 100 days. Once the seed heads dry and turn golden, you can harvest by hand, thresh the seeds, and store them just like other grains. The best part, you can feed the stalks to animals, compost them, or use them as mulch. Nothing goes to waste. If you've been struggling with soil that dries out too fast or compacted beds that won't hold structure, try a patch of millet next season. It's a great rotation crop to follow heavy feeders like corn or tomatoes, and it'll leave your soil richer for whatever you plant next. As our climate becomes more unpredictable, we need crops that can adapt, not crops that need saving. Millet doesn't demand perfect conditions or expensive inputs. It's the definition of resilience. For gardeners and small-scale farmers, it offers food security, soil health, and independence from costly inputs. For communities facing drought and food shortages, millet could literally be a lifeline. Even global food experts are taking note. The United Nations declared 2023 the International Year of Millets to raise awareness about its potential to strengthen food systems and combat hunger sustainably, yet in many parts of the world it's still overlooked, forgotten, in favor of crops that drain our soil and wallets. Duro is forgotten in favor. That's why it's time to bring millet back, not just as a nostalgic relic, but as a key player in sustainable, soil-centered farming. Last season, I tried millet in a test patch behind the compost pile, honestly, just to see how it would handle our dry spell. I barely watered it, added no compost, and yet the plant stood tall and healthy when most of my corn was struggling. The difference in soil afterward was what really blew me away. The ground under the millet was darker, looser, and full of worm tunnels. I didn't expect such quick results, but that's the magic of this crop. It quietly restores what modern farming has stripped away. If you've been searching for a crop that gives back more than it takes, millet deserves a spot in your garden plan. We don't need to reinvent the wheel to fix our food systems, we just need to remember what worked before we forgot. Millet is living proof that the solutions to modern problems can come from ancient wisdom. So, whether you're a backyard gardener homesteader or just someone who loves healthy soil, consider planting a few rows of millet next season. Experiment, see what it does to your soil and your harvest rotation. You might just fall in love with it like I did. If this story of the forgotten supercrop inspired you, don't let it end here. Subscribe to SoilPower for more regenerative gardening tips, soil hacks, and forgotten wisdom from nature's best teachers. Share this article with a fellow gardener who loves to experiment. Together, let's bring millet and healthy soil back to the heart of our gardens.